We're in 1 Corinthians chapter 8, a very practical chapter by the Apostle Paul. You see here in the bottom of this chapter that he has given us some practical advice for how we exercise our Christian liberty. I'm going to come to that, but first I want to just mention to you 1 Corinthians 8 verse 6, one of the clearest statements in the New Testament about the deity of Jesus. We tend to think of places like Colossians 1 and Hebrews 1, places in the Gospel of John, but here's a place super clear where Paul tells us who Jesus is. He starts in verse 6 first by really acknowledging what you would call Jewish monotheism. He's comparing what Christians believe to what the pagans believe. And the pagans believe, the idols have power and there's different gods and lords all over the place. And Paul would say, yeah, but no, really for us, there's only one God. There's one God. And it's God the Father, from whom are all things and for whom we exist. Okay, so that's where Paul, it sounds like Deuteronomy 6, the Shema. This was a central part of the Jewish religion. There is one God. That's what made the Jewish religion different from every other religion in the world. They worshiped one God, and Paul acknowledges that. But look what he says after that. There's one God, the Father, from whom are all things and for whom we exist, and one Lord, Jesus Christ, through whom are all things and through whom we exist. Paul is getting Trinitarian here. He is putting the Son equal with the Father. There is one God, the Father, and one Lord, Jesus Christ. One is from whom are all things and for whom we exist. The other is through whom are all things and through whom we exist. So what Paul is doing here, he is identifying Jesus to be the God of Israel. He is identifying Jesus to be on the same exact plane as Yahweh, because Jesus is Yahweh. So he takes kind of that Jewish idea, Jewish monotheism, Deuteronomy 6, and he applies it here to Jesus, which is just an amazing verse that we could camp out on and spend a lot more time. But let's talk about not being a stumbling block to your brother or your sister. Now, when we think about not being a stumbling block, this is Christian liberty, okay? We can tend to think of a stumbling block being you doing something that other people disapprove of, and their disapproval is the stumbling block. That's actually not how it works. If you think that way, I'll clear it up with an example. Okay, say there was some dissension, some disagreement about the freedom to eat ice cream. I'm going to say ice cream. Keep it simple. Maybe I enjoy ice cream, but you think it is wrong to eat ice cream, sinful to eat ice cream, and that Christians shouldn't do it. Christians should not eat ice cream. Okay, now your conscience, according to your conscience, eating ice cream is wrong. Now, what Paul is saying here, now look, that's not the case. We can eat ice cream. It's okay to eat ice cream, Paul would say. You have that right as a Christian. You have that freedom as a Christian to eat ice cream. But take care, verse 9, that this right of yours does not somehow become a stumbling block for the weak. Now, how could it be a stumbling block? Well, it happens like this. Say I'm eating ice cream somewhere. I'm in an ice cream parlor. I'm eating my ice cream, or I'm in my home eating ice cream, and someone sees me eating ice cream. And they see me eating ice cream. Now, if they see me eating ice cream and they disapprove of that, so what? Fine. It doesn't matter. I mean, we saw this in 1 Corinthians 3. Your judgment of me, man, doesn't matter ultimately. Like, whatever. You may not like me eating ice cream. That doesn't matter. That's not a reason for you to stop eating ice cream. Now, a reason for you to stop eating ice cream is if maybe a brother or sister sees you eating ice cream, and you're eating ice cream, your example of eating ice cream makes them think, well, I guess maybe it is okay for me to eat ice cream. And so then they go and they get some ice cream, and they eat the ice cream because they saw you eating ice cream, but their conscience has not been freed. And so basically, they're taking your example of eating ice cream, and as they eat ice cream, they are defying their conscience because they don't have that freedom. but they're just doing it because you did it. That is when you are, in your example, leading your brother or sister to stumble, to sin. You are leading them to defy, to sin against their conscience. And Paul would say, don't do it. Don't do it. If you are worried or concerned, there's a possibility that you exercise your freedom and it gives someone else a license to exercise that same freedom, which actually they don't have the freedom, then don't do it. Don't lead your brother or your sister to sin against their conscience. And so what Paul says is, look, if that's the case, like I'm not going to eat ice cream. Forget, ice cream is good. It's good, okay, but it's not that good. It's not that good. It's not so good that it would make me cause my brother or sister to stumble. Again, there's a lot of wisdom here, and we can work it out. And there's some details and some nuance, but that's the main thing we see here in 1 Corinthians 8. Jesus is God, and think carefully about your eating of ice cream.